Yeah, but I mean, the point is they hadn't even thought of the damage it was doing, and that was the first of the trigger of a number of issues that I started to think, well, this probably is a good idea, it may work in Brisbane, but you just haven't thought about the rest of us. And the other one, it's probably talked to death, but there's veg management laws. It was just, what kept coming back to my head in the debate is I'm forced to come to Brisbane every 2 or 3 weeks for Parliament, so I have to. By virtue of being down here every 3 weeks, I have to be accustomed to a little bit of how you live down here and everything. And but you have no idea what it's like for me. You have no idea what it's like going up to Bilmagee or Grumber or Burketown where phones are out for a week at Burketown and you've got people isolated on stations, or you just got no idea. And you hear making all these judgment calls that impact so heavily on their lifestyle and consistently. We are the sacrificial lambs because they know there's not that reprisal. You're not getting the numbers that aren't going to hit you, which is why you're the whipping boy, obviously, when they score political points. The Category H firearms, I know firearms is a touchy subject. Every time I mention it, the journalists go, well, it's something curious again, but the Category H firearms, they brought that in, they didn't bring anything, they snuck in there, they're taking off primary producer, it's no longer a valid use of you. So what that means is they're saying, well, we're trying to make things safer for you, so if you live out of Richmond, 5 hours, more than 6 hours drive from Townsville, you can have 10 handguns if you want. You can still own, but you've got to be along the pistol club, so you have to drive 6 hours. You can still own those pistols on your place, that's fine. Drive past the wild dogs that are eating up your cows, calves just there, or whatever, the dead kangaroo that's got hit on the road. You can't put that down, that's illegal. But you can drive right into the metropolitan area of Townsville, that's where you can discharge your firearm, because that's legal. This is the nonsense we just keep coming up against, and you try to explain this to people, and it's really they've just got no idea how any of this stuff works. So, we talk about the $5 billion in the Cross River Rail and these silly decisions that they're always just throwing money at problems up in the north. It's always, you've got a problem with your rail line up the middle. Let's just, Bill Shorten announced the other day, we'll just give $100 million to fix it. So that's not the problem. It doesn't need $100 million, it needs the business case fixed. It just needs you to spend a bit of time and attention on fixing this. And we're just an afterthought and an annoying little presence in the Parliament. And all I can say, really, I'm trying to give you a picture that I was ready for it and I thought I was prepared for it, but I have such a stronger acute sense of that now, more than ever. And so when the NG started, I always heard Dad referring to often, and others in the media, and I thought, it was treated always just as a stunt, it's a political stunt, and that's what they still say to me, accuse me of, it's just a political stunt. But we get, I'm sure it's the same for George and Steve Andrews here. Sorry, I should have acknowledged you before Steve. But we get all people coming in all the time in the offices with these grandiose ideas, and we've got a infrastructure plan for Australia, or how with fiscal politics can change everything, revolutionise it. We get some of them wacky ideas. Once a week you'll have, and the NG7 state issue came up, so you start looking at it. And the journey for me was I was looking at it and I thought, well, how are people going to attack me on this? Let's look at it. The more I prosecute this argument, the more wedded I am, the more convinced I am this is lunacy not to keep pushing ahead with this. If anyone thinks that our founding fathers, 100 years ago, were saying, look, we're drawing some lines on the map and just keep them forever, keep them for the next 2,000 years, lock it in, there's nothing's ever going to change. If anyone agrees with that, you're an absolute lunatic. How stupid does that sound, thinking that's exactly what they wanted us to just keep these lines on the map that they arbitrarily drew 100 years ago, that we just got to keep that there. That's what's stupid, and yet they'll sort of try and the innuendo is, the insinuation is that we're silly trying to put these arguments up, and it's just a grab. And so, I love the argument, because the best I can fish out of the opposition, we put a motion up for debate. Bill, I was actually trying to remember, it was on a referendum, I think. Peter Raffles wrote it for us in the last Parliament. We took it into the floor of Parliament in Queensland. And the best they can come up with is, as I recall, is that you can't afford it. And I remember Dad said about years ago, because they said, you couldn't afford it. He said, well, that's good news for them, cut us off. You'll save money. Because you can't have the argument both ways, and you know they don't want to let us go because of the wealth we create. But I mean, the irony is that they use the argument that you can't afford it. It's like, well, buddy, we know it's the other way around. But I actually don't even like using that argument. We don't get our fair share. It's true. I absolutely guarantee it. I think when I did the numbers when the royalties regions program came out, the Labor got a similar thing. I forget the name of the program. But it worked out for my area was about 3% of the royalties came back. And I use this argument in the context of FIFO at my area because I say I want the jobs, mate, from the mine. I couldn't care less if you're here or not. Like, unless we get some jobs, because we're certainly going to get the royalties back here or the wealth created. So I need something from your operations here. But that's the best argument they can come up with. And look, you know, I don't have the resources to prosecute all of those arguments in depth, but I mean, the best I've sat down with Colin Wyatt, and the economist in Townsley, who prorated the Queensland budget at the time and said that it would, you know, and I think it was about on that 900,000 population figure, he said it's about $8 billion to run it. Well, our $8 billion to run the state of North Queensland, and these are just back the envelope figures, but there's 4.3 billion from royalties last year in Queensland, and you'd be due, or pro rata again, about 2 billion in GST. So you're at 6 billion before you've got stamp duty or anything else in the revenue. Like, the money's not a problem. The numbers are quite easy to see from a much rudimentary sort of calculation. So that's one of the best other things I've come up. But I don't think it's about getting our fair share. And you know, I am a proud North Queenslander, and I take on board what George said there before. That's good sentiment. But I think part of being North Queensland is, you know, you want to develop it and help your country as well. Like, as a North Queensland, it's implicit that you're an Australian as well. And like, I think we all sit here and just get so frustrated that we've got this land and these resources that we want to develop and help the country get wealthy. And it's a really positive message to send to Sydney and Melbourne to say, look, we don't want to break away. This is not acrimonious where we just, and there is probably a little bit of that with me, a little bit of acrimony, but we don't have to message it like that. It's, look, we want to help you, but you know, if I look at my area and it's about us creating wealth for you, because it's all locked up at the moment, it's going nowhere, and you're making clumsy decisions. So let's look at something in my area. What's the first thing you do if you had a secretary? Well, the Flinders River, you know, one of the bigger river systems in Queensland going through, you know, about 400 kilometres of black soil plains, 2 metres black soil farmland. Corbett Tritton's got the only farm there, didn't even use laser level on his place, and he's got about 1,000 acres of it he's burning there. And so it's just this beautiful farmland there with a massive river runs beside it, and the state government now has taken $10 million. They've sold $10 million worth of water on that system. You know how much comes out? Just Corbett Tritton's. There's like 1% or below 1% of that water comes out of that river. It all flows out to sea, there's no dam. And they're all wound up about, oh, how do you price it? It's got to be $100 a megalitre, and, you know, how do we divvy it out? I said, what do you want? No one's taking it. Physically, there's no water going out. And you're all concerned about the price and the scarcity. I said, there's no problem. Like, that's a resource. And what's the price for? You're not cost recovering anything. That's our water. It's flying out to sea. And you're all wound up about the cost of it. So, you know, first thing we can do, but a ballot on 30 irrigation license, 3,000 megalitres on Flinders Plains. Go your hardest, guys. If you're going to spend $4 million setting up a farm in your place, go without blessing, take some water. You know, these things are so frustrating. We're sitting on them, and you know, people come out and visit. You take, my father-in-law was an agronomist working in the peanut industry, and they want to cry when you're driving out the black soil of Burtown through those wet areas and back on the Midwest plains, and they just cry at seeing this undeveloped land. And you know, you sound a bit conspiracy theory saying this, but within 50 years someone will be developing it. If it's not us, it'll be someone. And that's just a reality. Like, you can't sit on resources like that. And someone mentioned, Matt mentioned Cape York, God bless you before, because Cape York, you know, it's one I've become more interested in, and seeing how it's locked up. I think last year the state, well, I would argue the state induced a sale of 5,000 head of cattle off the place so they could use it for carbon credits and burn it, from what I can gather. But they're trying to destock the Cape. Cape York, these figures are a little bit old. A few years old now, but the KP will get 140,000 head of cattle with 52 million megalitres a year of rainfall over an area. And a similar size, Victoria has 4 million head, not 140,000 head. Victoria, of a similar size, has 4 million head of cattle and 19 million megalitres versus 52 million megalitres. We've got the water in the land, albeit, you know, it's not as fertile some, but there is some good patches as Cape York, but we can certainly do better than 140,000 head of cattle. And I was talking to Alistair McClellan, who's one of the bigger cattle owners of Gulf, and he said, Rob, let's finish that, I don't know, 50, 100 k's of bitumen up from Mariba to get onto the PDR. And he said, if I can bring triple road trains down, that's the next big thing in the cattle industry. You know, we can bring bulk numbers into the Gulf and into the markets. And what's the 50, 100 kilometres of road? And these are the things we can do if we manage our own state because we're there. You know, the cattle stations up there don't get someone from Brisbane to make a decision for them. Well, some do, but they usually do it bad. But, you know, we make decisions on the ground based on what we see and just, you know, so the cultural sensitivities get lost. And you know, we haven't even started on our first Australian brothers up there. But I think, you know, the blue cards is a great example in the state parliament. And I don't want to go into too much example, but too much detail. But you know, the blue cards done with the best intentions, and everyone in this room, which is probably in the metropolitan, wants from blue card to protect his. But 90% of the people in Dormitory can't get a blue card. They've got some discrepancy. 100% of jobs in Dormitory require a blue card. So even if you're a builder with the government, if they're all government jobs, your building's all on the school or hospital, so you need a blue card to get on there. So there's all these parents we're trying to get off the roller, off the drugs and into work, but they can't get it. So for 5 years I've been a government knocking on the door saying, well, yeah, I know what you're doing, and I know you're doing this with the best intention. And I was told by some of the other government the other day, I said, I know, Rob, it's got to happen, it's the best thing, but it won't happen because we've got to be tough on crime, so, you know, you won't get it overnight. And I'm dealing with, you know, youth crime, people killing themselves, suicides, complete social dysfunction, which is not a funny thing. It's, you know, it really breaks your heart in these Aboriginal communities. And I'm just trying to help fix this, a simple thing that won't cost anyone anything. Do you reckon I'll get it through Brisbane? No way. And this is the stuff we're going to keep dealing with. So it's not just about getting our fair share. It's about, as you said, you know, being able to have that autonomy to take ourselves forward. And we know it in our, and that takes me on to the last bit. The last message I want, because it always comes back to how do we do it. You know, make a couple of points. Like there's been things I said, you know, I've been in this quagmire of politics for 7 years, and there's some really dark moments where you think it's all going south, and things, you know, we're losing a manufacturing industrial base, and things get harder and harder in the bush, and all the towns in my electorate, the trajectory of the population is bad, it's going south, and health statistics, everything looks bad. But every now and again you have these wins. You have these wins and you think, where did that come? Like, you know, where did that come from? And you know, political stars align, and it's happened throughout, you know, political history everywhere, yes. But there's many examples in Queensland where, you know, that you've got those 3 or 4 seats that government want, that they desperately want, and you've got something that you want, and things can happen. And that's not necessarily the scenario how this happens, but I'm just saying you've got to have hope like that, because I've, in my short time in politics, have had those rare times where we've had really big wins, and I've got to never imagine ever would have got, so it is, and that takes me back to where I first met Bill Bates, who I wanted to mention earlier, because you're sort of sitting here and thinking, what are we doing? Like, you know, I'm not the Premier, and George certainly isn't the Prime Minister, and Steve there is not going to be the Premier. So where we take this, and that's you got to get that out of your head, because that's if there's one thing I've learned was that you know, a little fellow from Mount Isa, a backbencher in a minor party, since I crossbencher in Parliament, and some of the things that I've been able to see happen, you've got to believe in this stuff, and if you believe in it and you act like it's going to happen, and we keep moving forward, there will be a point, I guarantee you, there will be a point in the future that this will happen. And I can't tell you how that's going to happen, but Bill Bates came to, I had a message that this fellow was coming out from Cairns and the NQ state movement, and I thought, my initial reaction was, well, I was a bit put out because I thought, well, how come I don't know about him? I should have been having Cairns meeting him. Like I thought I had a mortgage on the NQ State thing, you know. So I met Bill, and he was there carrying a trailer around, and I thought, well, this doesn't look like a really big movement. You know, where's all the people? But here we are. You know, we've got MPs here. I was watching it on the news tonight before it came. It's in the papers. People are talking about it. And I found myself, I found myself. It's the biggest hits I've ever got, and you know, they're on the project and things that that I've never had before on the TV. Because people, it does light them up. Bernard Salt's talking about it. There is a groundswell, and it, it's just a mathematical decision for them in Parliament. Is this going to cost us much? How do we make this problem go away? We've got these MPs in the north that just will not stop on this. We need these numbers. All the people are angry up there, and we're XYZ party in there at the moment, and we've got XYZ members up there, and they're copping heat over this, with all these people that are in that room are at them all the time, and all their friends as well are now talking about it. It's this big movement, and we've got to somehow deal with this. And that's when, as politicians, we can get in there and start to do our work. But it's got to come from the groundswell, and it starts from a little fellow with the trailer that driving around Queensland who's building this up. And look where we are now. So, and I've certainly capitalised off it as much. It's got me, my foot in the door, and where we could do motions in Parliament and things, and I'm sure the same for George. So you've got to believe it was the worst thing possible, and I just hate hearing it. Is a good idea, but it's never going to happen. Well, absolutely, it will never happen if you say that. And unless you all are prepared to go home from here tonight and challenge the next time your mate says that to you, like, yeah, good idea, but they're just, they're kidding themselves. Unless you challenge them, well, we may as well give up. Because it's not going to just happen for me, George, Steve, Brendan, Bill. It's not going to happen from us. It really is back on you to do this. And I just wanted to end on one other anecdote, I guess, associated with it. I think it was the time that we did put it up in the Parliament, and I was doing an interview with a lady from the ABC in Melbourne, and I rather naively was trying to create this narrative. We're talking to her saying, well, it's not that we want to break away. We just think we can provide great wealth to the country and develop up these areas if we're given that autonomy, that management to go. We can